Hey internets, it's Jake from Penny Terrain Domain with you for the very first time tonight ever occurring.
No time dilation has happened.
Yeah, there's nothing weird happening. Ted, can you hear us?
I can.
And we can hear you immediately, not 45 seconds later.
That's always good.
Well, we were attempting to use a new audiovisual system. It failed immediately, so we are back with our usual setup. Unfortunately, that means we're cutting our game a tiny bit shorter, but that just means these role players will have to role play all the harder. Maybe they won't get Back to the Future tonight, which is the title of tonight's episode of Welcome to Paradise, Michigan. It is episode 6, Back to the Future. In just a moment, we'll get into a recap, bring you up to speed on what happened. But first, I was reminding everybody about the domain dice, which in this game are called domain pops. There's new chat commands, ! Domain dice, followed by ! Domain pops, or whatever for each of the games. That'll tell you how you can do those. For example, there's been two 500-bit cheers, which means you get a little bit of a boost on your pops here. So we're going to pop that up. Carrie's all excited because that means I got to make 3 of them go away. And when 3 of them go away... they get eaten.
Slower now. It's better.
I didn't do anything different. I just didn't push them all at once. But yeah, those are domain pops. They currently are used as +1 to fun. They're used like adversity tokens. The only other announcement that I'm going to do, since we're already short on time, is I am going to remind you that you matter. Your presence on this earth makes a difference. Whether or not you believe it, it is true. You might not, you might be struggling for any number of reasons. And we want you to know that, first off, it is okay to not be okay, but you do not have to struggle alone. At any time, you can come into our chat and you can type ! Help. A couple of URLs will pop up on screen. First and foremost is findahelpline.com. That is a free resource. You can simply type your name, or sorry, not your name. It's anonymous. Type your location in the field that shows up there. Hit enter and you will be greeted with various help resources for websites, phone numbers, text messages, whatever your chosen method of communication is, and how to reach out to those services. We encourage you to go to that site, bookmark those pages, save them for yourself, save them for a friend, and remember, you matter. I speak right now on behalf of Mini Terrain Domain, not on behalf of my players. They can speak up if they feel so, but I stand with the Writers Guild of America. And tonight, I did not write anything down for this session. It's just, I say that to be funny. I say that to be funny, but I literally wrote nothing for this session. It's all in my head.
I appreciate you.
From a writer's perspective, and just with what's going on, I just wanted to mention that. With that, I would like to welcome you all to Paradise, Michigan. In our most recent sessions, the gang has found themselves mysteriously transported through these green doors that keep appearing. They went through green doors and wound up on a beach at the foot of a lighthouse. Investigating the lighthouse proved to be very bizarre, as they found themselves through their investigations uncovering a trapdoor that led to an inverted version of the lighthouse, where it was not daytime but nighttime, in the middle of a storm, and a ship was crashing on the beach outside. They also noticed shortly after ending up on this other side and witnessing the fact that there was, in fact, the ship crashing outside. They noticed that one, Laz had mysteriously appeared, seeming to spill out of Oak's messenger bag. We also learned a little bit about Laz's background, home life, a little bit of a troubled relationship with his mother before he came spilling out of the messenger bag, but also it became apparent that Jessica was nowhere to be found. However, in addition to Dwight the orange cat, there was another cat, a white Persian cat with a name tag that very clearly said Jessica on it. You met the lighthouse keeper, who has the game master's unfortunate choice of naming him Heinz.
Heinz.
Heinz de Grauner, a German man who cautioned you all to not go outside and to wait until sunrise, which was rapidly approaching. Once the sun rose, you all went outside to investigate. You did notice, through looking out from the top of the lighthouse, some of you noticed there were mysterious drag marks on the beach that led to the smaller lake that's slightly behind and extends to the north from where the lighthouse is, a little inland lake. You went out to see the wreckage of the ship. You saw that the captain and the crew were gathering as much supplies as they could salvage. And the captain introduced himself as Edouard Detroit. You met the crew: Guy, Nicholas, Sauvage, Shakiri, Christina, Ingrid, Nine-Fingered Norm, and Ivan. And Billy and Laz noticed a piece of the wreckage, which at the time, because M wasn't here last week, I had said that was specifically a little Easter egg for Ted and Jeremy, but it was also for M when they discovered that the name of the ship, and this one's for Gary, what in Sea of Thieves we called the ass name of the ship, which is the name that appears on the rear of the ship. The ship is called was called the Evangeline. And that was where we ended. And so we are going to pick up, but not on the beach. Instead, we are going to take a look elsewhere as we figure out what is the happiest moment that Jessica experienced in the last year.
I think the last thing that made Jessica genuinely happy is there was an evening where her parents took her to and her sister to her favorite restaurant, and for a moment there it felt like they were a family. Her sister's off at college, her parents are getting a divorce, and so in this moment, having everyone together, though Jessica would never admit it and would, take it to the grave but this had truly been a very happy moment for her.
What was the restaurant? You don't have to say a real brand name restaurant, but What kind of a restaurant was it? Was it like a family style? Buffets were really big in the 80s. A themed restaurant, those were starting to really emerge in the 80s as well. Or was it something nicer?
I think it was like some really small, like mom and pop restaurant where maybe it only really even sat like 10 people in it. And the people who owned the restaurant, it was only ran by a mother and her son, and they lived upstairs. Like, this is how small the restaurant was. And I think it was probably called the Winery or something like that. I don't know if Jessica even like knew the name really of it, but everyone knew of the restaurant. It was, maybe like Angie's restaurant, right? But that wasn't the name of it. That's just what everyone called it because Angie was the one who ran it.
And so you have this memory of this time with your family at this the winery. For a change, as you said, everybody seems to be getting along. There's no sign of any of the usual discord that happens. What was it that... What was the catalyst, the incident, and which of your parents was it that was set off almost immediately, either when you left the restaurant or when you got home?
I think it was the mother who made, I think maybe this time they had actually hired on a waitress, and she's a new hire, and Jessica's mom made some snide comment to Jessica's dad about how he was looking at the waitress, and it just set it off of oh, here we go again, this is what it's going to come to, and they just start bickering again.
And you're in the car. You and your sister are sitting in the back seat. Your parents are arguing in the front seat. And it has become a almost background noise, because this is what's normal. The calmness of the restaurant, the family seeming to get along just fine. While it was enjoyable, it was unusual. Does Jessica listen to a Walkman?
I think she usually does, but I don't think she did this time. I think she might have lent it to her sister, who had forgotten it, her own, in college.
Okay. So your sister is sitting in the seat, and you can see as your parents are arguing that she kind of gives you a sideways look and then reaches down and just turns the volume up. And then kind of sinks into the seat a bit and closes her eyes to tune them out completely, which leaves you, as your only recourse, is to stare out the window where you can see your own reflection. There's that illumination in the window from either the passing lights or whatever, and it's not constant. So you're sort of seeing this as the streetlights go by. You just see, you see yourself. You see yourself. And it's in one of these flashes that you see your reflection turn towards you. It's interesting that even in your memories, you call her the mother.
Yeah, you can see Jessica kind of like blink, and she like looks around, like, and looks at like her sister and like at her parents, and seeing if any of them are like seeing or saying anything until she like looks back.
It's just you and me, babe.
He like scowls at her reflection and whatever. What do you even know?
Pretty much everything you do. I'm here too. I experienced all of this at the same time, except I'm stuck here. While you're living out there doing whatever it is you do, I'm stuck here in this car, remembering. And you notice that your reflection loses some of the affectation of voice. Every day, every night, I'm here in this car. I have to listen to them. How come you always think of her as the mother?
Jessica shrugs and she always starts shit like that, and she like gestures up. Always blames Dad. It's not fair.
Why do you think the father is so innocent all the time? You know,
Jessica just shrugs.
You only ever come back here very rarely. And I've never said anything before now. But as I said, I'm here all the time. Yeah. You come to the restaurant memory all the time. But you never stick around for the car ride home.
Yeah,
But did
because
you...
it sucks. It's just more of this every day.
Go back to the restaurant. Pay attention to Dad. And you feel a sudden lurch and you're sitting back down in the restaurant. Ooh. It's back 30 minutes earlier. And it's exactly as it's happened every time that you remember this night. I would like you to make me a brains check. Nope, check that. Make a charm check.
Okay. That is a 17.
This time, as you're sitting in this memory, everything that's happening around you seems to be almost like the volume is turned down. Your sister leans over to you and says something surprisingly nice, but all you hear is your mom does that thing where she's trying to be kind and motherly, and as she says something, she reaches out and places her hand on top of yours momentarily. And that's all you hear. And they even seem sort of almost distorted, like they're moving in slow motion. The only one that you can hear and that seems to be in focus is your dad. And you notice that throughout this entire meal, your dad was checking out the waitress. He was watching her the whole time, and they were, with that 17, this is something that it's a sort of practice thing that he's doing, where he'll look to the right and then turn to the left and slower pass his gaze in her direction every time as she's turning to walk back to the kitchen after she's come by. And it becomes very apparent when you see, with your attention focused on it, that your father was definitely as maybe not the only one to blame in, it's obviously more than just this one night that's led to their problems. But your dad may not be as innocent as you thought. And you hear, "See, I told you," as you see, you're in this small family-run restaurant. Your table's near the front, and you glance over, and your whole family is reflected in the window, the front window. You can see the winery spelled across in an arch in reverse, painted on the sign, and there is your reflection looking back at you. You need to open your eyes and actually see what's happening around you. No, seriously, you need to open your eyes. Open your eyes! And you hear a man yelling at you. Jessica. Is Jessica a partier? Does Jessica go out to parties and drink and...
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I think Jessica has been brought along maybe begrudgingly by her sister, because she threatened to tell their parents unless she was brought.
So Jessica knows what a hangover feels like, because that's what you feel right now. And you feel like there is just way too bright of a light that is being shined behind your closed eyes. And you hear the sound of a man saying, "Wake up! Are you okay?"
Yeah, Jessica puts her hand. Oh my God, stop. As she opens up her eyes very painfully to see what this person looks like.
You see a very tall black man, broad shoulders. He has a sort of a white shirt that looks like the sleeves have been torn off. It's very clearly sweat stained and dirty, and he wears some kind of work pants. But everything, he looks disheveled. And he's crouching down over you. "Are you okay? You were out for a while."
Where am I?
He stands and kind of looks around. "That is a good question. All of us are asking this question. There's a lot of trees and plants. And the weather is quite nice. It's almost like a paradise here. Your friends...
focus... Yeah.
Your friends would be curious, I think. I'm assuming, from the way that you are dressed, you must be with the other children."
She nods and then kind of shakes her head and we've like ridden bikes together, so as she like slowly begins to sit up.
You and your friends say some very strange things. I do not understand. I wanted to make sure you were all right. I found you laying in the brush over here at the edge of the beach. I would have brought you over to your friends, but that little one there wouldn't let me get very close. And you see he points, and you now realize that curled in your lap is the orange cat with the name tag Dwight.
Oh, there he is.
As he says this, the cat,
scritch.
you scritch the cat, and the cat kind of just arches its back a little bit, turns, looks at the tall man, and goes,
Damn.
"It's okay, kitty. I was just making sure she's fine. When you're ready, you should come over by the lighthouse. That is where everyone else is." And he turns and starts to walk away.
Where is Jessica right now as she looks
You are
around?
exactly where he said. You are lying in sort of literally at the edge of a beach, a natural beach. And you're in dune grass. So picture sand dunes, but just with lots of grass coming up around it. It's very soft and comfortable. You can see actually some of the trees and stuff not far away where they start to, the true part of the forest or whatever starts to grow. And looking around, you can see you're only about maybe 30, 40 feet away from the edge of the lake, which is very gentle waves rolling in. And as you sort of turn to the right, you see the two halves of a giant three-masted ship slowly settled into the silt after the storm, waves crashing around them. You see a bit of debris washing up on shore. You see what appears to be the crew of this ship are still gathering supplies. And you see your new friends all standing around near the lighthouse about maybe 50 feet away from you. And there's some very tall, bearded, sea captain looking, I mean, literally, Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse is what he looks like. He's wearing the long pea coat, the hat, he's got a pipe, everything. And that is where you are.
Before Jessica is going to go over there, but before she does so, she's going to quickly kind of get up and run to the water. As it has a reflective surface, and she's going to try and see if she can see her reflection.
Ooh.
You run down to the to where the waves meet the shore, and what you are met with is just the water is a little choppy. There's light waves. But it's too refractive to show any kind of reflection other than the sort of grayish sky. You see a sort of distorted fractal image of yourself at best in this water source.
Does Jessica have her backpack?
Yep.
Okay, because I was gonna actually she would totally have a little compact in her. I have that with my eyeshadow. I have eyeshadow, so it would definitely have like a little like mirror.
Yeah.
She's gonna look in there. She's gonna like turn her head around, like, you know, maybe make like open her mouth and then close it, just to see if the reflection mimics her.
What is your charm score?
It's a D20.
Okay. I want you to roll charm.
Jessica's gonna psychologically heal just from looking at herself.
It's an 8.
I would like the rest of you to make brains checks, please.
Oh my god, we need dice for this game. I almost forgot.
I thought you were going to say, oh my god, we all get to play now?
No,
Yeah.
no.
I'm just
I
kidding,
love
I'm just
story
kidding.
Time.
No, it just feels longer because of the technical difficulties.
No, not at all. Is it a charm check, you said?
No, I said brains.
Oh, sorry. I suck.
This is not a pass or fail. This is to see who notices Jessica. 4. Oak has 10. Looks like Billy. As you're all sort of standing around, having this would be a few minutes after you and Laz discovered the wreckage of the tail end of the ship. You glance over and you see Jessica standing about 50 feet away down by the water's edge. Seems to be making faces into a mirror or a compact. Do you call out to her or anything?
So you said I'm with Laz?
You're with everybody basically.
Okay, so I'll nudge Laz or nudge whoever's next to me and found her.
On who? Laz will kind of look around.
And I'll point out to where Jessica is.
Oh. Yeah, I guess so. Laz says, like, very unconcerned.
The rest of you're in close enough proximity, you would notice, you would all hear Billy pointing out, or saying this and kind of pointing in that
Holy
direction.
shit! The Barbie doll's back. Jessica! And I would wave.
You hear
Hey!
Rosie calling out to you.
But is Jessica's reflection, like, is it all
To
good?
this point, everything has been
Okay.
100% doing your reflection. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, you can't see your cat's tail while looking at your face,
Yeah.
so you're good.
Everything, I mean, you look the worse for wear. You look like you woke up on a beach. But your reflection is doing all of the motions you are doing. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Do you look over when Rosie calls your name?
Yeah, Jessica immediately like pretends that she's like taking some of this like horrifically blue eyeshadow and like just like puts it on her eyelids and then and then looks over to Rosie and hi, and is going to
You don't
walk
see
over.
this. Nobody sees this, but we, the audience, see. When you finally look over to Rosie, your reflection goes and rubs some of the eyeshadow off right before you close the compact.
Ooh, fucking. Okay.
so like
Because I rolled an 8 too on
ooh.
the charm roll.
So Jessica comes over and so like, where are we?
We're in 1880 something.
So the real question is, when are we? And Rosie looks around really proud of herself for that. I specifically looked at the little kids because I think maybe they're the only ones that might be impressed.
When you say that, Heinz goes, I already told you it was 1880 something.
I know. Yeah. That's not really the point.
It's really good to see you. I'm so glad that you're not a cat anymore.
I was a what?
Yeah,
Do we
we're
see
pretty-
any sign of this white cat? Is it possible this was just a wild coincidence?
Is there any white cat fur on her clothing?
Good question.
I'm going to do we're going to do a D100 roll, Billy, since you asked that question.
Woohoo!
I'm going to say I'm not going to say what the percentage is, but I've rolled my number.
All right. I have rolled my number. It is a 49.
You see Billy looking you over maybe a little too closely, looking you up and down. But Billy, you do not see any signs of white cat hair anywhere.
Okay.
And none of you see any signs of a white cat.
Huh?
Yeah, you were a cat. The tag said so and everything. You were pretty fancy and mean. So that
Yeah,
pretty
but they
much.
also said that I was inside of a comic book. So I mean, take that with a really, really small grain of sand. And you can,
It's
like,
But
just
see, like you were so, and Billy was also acted like a cat.
And we're in 1880 something. None of this is any weirder than any other of this.
That's what this guy said. But did you see the Swiss Miss he pulled out of his pocket? That didn't look like no 1888 Swiss Miss.
Right, but he knows that we're from 1980 something.
Wait a minute. Are you saying it's like it? We're in like a Jamestown sort of situation? You know, like those field trip things you go on. These are all just actors.
What?
What's a Jamestown?
Yeah, like colonial.
Like colonial Jamestown.
Yeah.
Y'all don't.
Yeah, you go on the field trip to the colonial times, and then they're like,
I'm
"Hey,
11,
everyone, come
dude.
churn butter."
What?
But y'all don't have field trips like that here.
Yeah, colonial Williamsburg.
Who's remind me, because I just don't remember. How many, if any of you, are from Michigan? So Billy and Rosie are from Michigan. I think the things you would be most closely, obviously you would potentially have, and especially you, I think, Billy, as a scout, would be aware of colonial Williamsburg and Jamestown and all of those places. But within Michigan, there's also like Greenfield Village, and which is a big tourist thing over in sort of over near Detroit, and a lot of like car museum stuff. But more on the historical reenactment side would be Fort Michilimackinac and Mackinac Island, which is up near the bridge. Those are not made up; those are actual Michigan things.
They're real places.
So Billy would bring up those things and be like, "No, we're not there. We're actually in the past." And Laz, I imagine that he's probably gone through the little time difference just like we did to get those things.
I don't know. It just all seems really weird, and like somebody's just fucking with us, you know?
Didn't do the first time. People are trying to mess up some things, but things don't look right. And I'll just point towards where the town is supposed to be.
Well,
Like, where's the town?
I mean, he did say that he's gone through the trap door a couple of times,
Mhm.
right? So, like, I mean, if he went through the trap door and came to our timeline, wouldn't the thing you took back be Swiss Miss too?
No, but you've kind of got a point. Laz starts patting himself down and looking for that pack of cigarettes that he had stolen from before, trying to desperately find one, hoping that maybe that will at least make things a little less daunting.
I mean, if it was something that you had on you, then you have them. Do you pull out and light
he
a
fishes
cigarette?
one out and lights it.
What do you
Yeah,
light it with?
Absolutely. I have a lighter.
The
and
Zippo
it was-
that you have.
Is it a Zippo?
Is it the Zippo that you have?
I don't know that it was. It was one that I stole from the bus station / gas station.
We already know that that Laz has a lighter because he smoked a cigarette earlier.
Sure did.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember.
It was probably just like a, Bic lighter, something
Wow.
like that.
If you don't have a lighter for some reason, I do have flint and steel.
I would
Hold
like.
still. But
Can I send sparks at your face?
We'll get that
Close your
cigarette
eyes.
lit in about 5 minutes. Don't worry, we got you.
Laz. Roll me a d8.
Okay. That's an 8.
As you light this cigarette and take your first couple drags off of it, you hear a shuffling in the sand, and one of the women from the crew, she has her hair sort of pulled up and roughly tied behind, just for the warmth, and she's dressed in trousers and a loose-fitting shirt, but she was also tossed in the storm last night, so she's kind of standing there like this in that slightly huddled shape, but she walks forward towards you and she goes, "Pardonnez-moi. May I have I wonder, do you maybe have one more of those? I could really use a cigarette."
Yeah. Sure, yeah. He pulls another one out of the pack, and he'll hand it to her. Oh, yeah, and then he kind of remembers and will hold up the lighter to light it.
Do you light it for her, or do you hand her the lighter?
Oh. I don't think Laz is that smooth. I think he's just gonna hand her the lighter.
So she has the cigarette, and you hand her the lighter, and she just holds it. What is this?
It's like a lighter. It's oh yeah, right, the 18 thing. And he reaches out and takes it, and he kind of like strikes it, showing her how
She
it works.
looks like really surprised. You are like a magician. That is very impressive. But seeing the
No, I'm
flame,
from New York.
seeing the flame, she leans in and lights the cigarette and okay. At least this is normal. Merci. And she turns and walks back to where the crew is. You see she immediately walks over to a couple of the others, and they actually start passing the cigarette around. Heinz comes up behind you, Laz. You might want to be a little careful with flashing around things from not from here.
Yeah? Why is that?
It could not be good. I've suddenly forgotten how to do a German accent.
It's good. Guten Tag.
Ich habe Fräulein.
It could be. Just could be a very bad thing. I will say that.
It's like that movie Back to the Future where if you mess with things in the past, it'll change the future.
Oh. That makes sense.
So, like,
Coop says that,
You
and it
give
like
her a
blows
cigarette?
Oak's mind, like, and immediately a whirlwind of like figuring out, all the ins and outs like happens.
We understand, Heinz. We're gonna be real careful.
We can't
Uh.
touch nothing no more.
But
Nope.
it's just us now and Heinz, and like the captain and the crew are
The
off
captain and the crew
somewhere.
are probably about 20 feet away or so. They're talking amongst themselves, and they've a couple of them, Sauvage and Nicholas and Guy, have made repeated trips back to the wreckage of the ship, and even now Sauvage has come up out of the water, and you see that he has yet again a large crate. It's got rope handles, and it's probably about looks like it's about maybe 2 feet by 1 foot and maybe 2 feet deep. And it says, like many of the others on the side of it, it says things like apples and other assorted fruit names or food names. But Sauvage is carrying this crate like these are the heaviest apples you have ever seen. Like he has to drag it up out of the water, then he kind of bends and picks it up, and when he sets it down, you can almost feel that thump when it hits the sand as he sets it next to the others.
And that's all happening like 20.
That's about 20 feet away
feet.
from you, yeah.
Okay. So Coop is going to lean in, kind of tug on Edward's pea coat a little bit to try to get him to bend down a little bit. You're like, look, mister, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the ship captain,
Edward is the ship captain. Who are you
Wait,
talking?
what?
Are you talking
So
to?
you'd be talking to Hines.
Are you trying to
I'm
talk?
talking to Hines.
Oh, you said Edward.
Okay, fine, sorry.
I
I'm trying
just
to talk
wanted to
the
be
captain.
clear. You're talking
And I'm not
to
gonna
the.
role play. I'm not gonna role play it all out. I'm just gonna let him know that I noticed that the captain's up to some shady shit, and that he was basically like trying to. They're doing something. They're up to something.
Sorry, I didn't mean to dissuade you from roleplay. I just wanted to be clear on who
It's
you were
fine.
talking to.
It's fine. Yeah. No, because I mean, that would have made perfect sense. Just go right up to the shady guy and be like, "Hey, did you know that you're acting really shady?"
Hey, listen.
Hines strokes his beard, takes a thoughtful pull on his pipe. Interesting. We'll have to keep a very close eye on them then. We are going to have to see what we can do to get you children back to where you belong.
Are we allowed to go yet?
Not yet.
How exactly is it that you're in charge of the whole war between then and now?
Somebody's got to do it. Why couldn't it be me? I am the one who mans the lighthouse.
Did you win a contest or
did you eat a bunch of Ovaltine and then got a Dakota ring and all that nonsense? Because if that's true, I'm right there with you, man. I've done that before, and it's fun, but it's really not the rewarding kind of thing you think it's going to be until at the very end,
maybe it was Swiss Miss?
Speaking of
Maybe.
Ovaltine, I'm starving. I need a sandwich. It is near lunchtime. How do we get home? What do we need to do?
What do y'all have to eat? That's a good point.
That is a lot of questions you've thrown at me all at once. I will tell you this. I man the lighthouse because it needs to be done, and I have chosen to do this. I've taken this upon myself. I will get you home. I need to make sure everything is okay here. Then I will make it so that it is safe for you to go through the trapdoor. I would discourage you from asking our new friends, as they are going to be closely guarding their rations. If you can hold off for a little bit longer, I will get you through, and you can go back to where you came from.
We've seen a whole bunch of these doors, these green doors with the brass knobs on them, but they all seem to work in a really, really weird way.
What
And
do you mean you have seen a whole bunch of them? You should only have seen the one in the lighthouse there, and he points at the bottom of the lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
You should have seen the one at the top of the lighthouse. And you came through the trap door.
We saw one in a grave.
The
Yeah.
one in the grave.
and a couple in a book.
And at a
store.
bookstore.
And on all of our grandparents' houses.
Oh yeah, they do look like the one in those houses.
You see at this point, Oak has like
The hamsters are running.
hold on. Oak has this like piece of graph paper that he's had shoved in his little steno for a while now, and
Oh
on
my
each like he folds it out and it unfolds, and it's like each location that has a little green door. There's a little like piece of graph paper that has little green marker like little
No.
green marker doors of each place that had a green door in it. And he's like, all right, okay, well, you're right, the whole cul-de-sac is loaded with them, and then you got let's see, you got the grave, you got the bookstore, this in here. That was the trapdoor also green? Yeah, I think that it was. And he like sketches that in. He's like, all right, there you go. That's about, so far that's about 7, I think. I'm counting right. But they're not good. They've never been good, I don't think, at all.
Jessica. When Oak says that is enumerating all of the doors, you're the only one that saw the hallway with a seemingly innumerable amount of doors. Do you mention that at all?
Oh yeah, she's after like Oak says, 7, she's like, yeah, and like multiply that by like 1 million.
That's 7 million to you and me.
Say what now? I was only... Jessica, that can't be possible.
I think
Oh, there's
Jessica
only like 7.
Jessica looked at Billy at this to see if there's like any remembrance of this hallway, which I'm guessing there's not. But so
No.
then
Billy walks through the front door of the bookstore, and he doesn't remember anything until we got to the lighthouse.
yeah, so Jessica, like, she's like, yeah, when Billy was like trying to murder me or whatever, there was like 1 million doors down a hallway, and
Billy
he
tried
led
to
me to
murder
one of them. Yeah.
You tried to murder her?
I have no memory of being in the bookstore.
That's worse. You tried to murder somebody and you don't remember it.
No, that's actually a pretty good defense.
I walked through the bookstore and appeared at the lighthouse. That's all I remember.
Hey,
Look.
I've just
It doesn't seem like
realized
there's a lot of like reason behind all of this.
I've just realized I've inadvertently built in a desire to not be present for a game.
Oh, you know.
just so that we have the...
If you're not here,
the
you get
full
weird
round.
character revelations.
Weird character stuff. Awesome.
The only game that rewards you for being absent.
No, I think that when you say that, like, genuinely, I think Oak believes it. He's so superstitious about stuff that, like, he believes it, but his little 12-year-old brain can't even comprehend the idea of that many possible, like, span. So he's like, no. I've seen a lot of weird, but that's too much weird. There's no way.
And then I had to choose which door I wanted to go out of. She like looks like at this. She's like, so what do you make of that?
So it's like a game show? Like you get to choose a door? and then you go through it.
Where'd it take you?
To the top of the lighthouse. That's when I ran down the stairs, and
That's
ran into
when
you.
Gotcha. Okay. And he's like making small notes, but like otherwise, okay. Well, Hans, so we're in 1880 something or other, and I know you want to get us back, and I want to get us back. But what do we do while we're here?
Nothing. We
N-
can't
no-
do anything, or we'll destroy the future.
Not even nothing.
Look, they don't even have like electricity and shit here.
I mean,
Oh my god, I know what we can do.
what?
Let's bury a piece of my juicy fruit in a hole next to the lighthouse and see if it's there when we go back to our timeline.
Yes. 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 I am totally in on this plan.
This
A
is
buddy
such
of
a
mine-
good thing.
A buddy of mine, Jonesy back home, he said juicy fruit could like live through the apocalypse, like with the cockroaches and the Twinkies. So yes, let's do
We're
it.
gonna
Coop.
find out.
Yes.
I was gonna suggest we plant one of the apples and actually get an apple tree.
Oh, that would
That
actually
seems
be
less fun, but more
less
important.
fun, but more cool.
How about
And
we
also a
plant? How about
marker.
we plant a seed of an apple, and then right next to it we plant some juicy fruit, huh?
Well, if you put the seed next to the juicy fruit, the roots of the tree are going to cover the fruit. The juicy fruit. won't be able to
You
fight
grow
it.
a gum tree. That's what happens. You
We'll
grow
go
a
a
gum
little
tree.
ways away.
The trunk's gonna be like
It's not gonna be that big. Well, we can plant it a little ways away.
I would like everybody to make a brains check, please. This is to notice something.
Shit.
Oh my!
Rosie, what is your brains die?
It's an 8.
Okay. You just always seem to roll low on those.
I'm just really excited about the juicy fruit plan, and so I'm kind of hyper focused right now.
me too, buddy.
See,
Heck yeah, Ted.
if I named episodes after we played them, this episode would be called the Juicy Fruit Plan.
Yeah.
That sounds like a concept album that would have come out by like Pink Floyd or something.
The juicy fruit conspiracy. Winning is winning. Hashtag high five.
That was amazing. The Juicy Fruit Conspiracy. Somebody make a note of that, because I'm going to need to make a t-shirt design that's the Juicy Fruit Conspiracy.
I will buy it.
So it looks like Oak and Billy.
We're on another level of existence at this point.
As you all are having this conversation, and making plans and devising the Juicy Fruit Conspiracy, the two of you notice that out of the woods, or out of the foliage to I guess the direction that Jessica came from, you notice one of the crew come out of the over the dune. And it's the one that was pointed out to you as Christina. She looks to be a little bit older than the others. Maybe it's hard to tell. She looks like she might be in her mid 30s to mid 40s. She's a stout woman, not really heavy set. She just looks very like a combination of muscle and large bosom. And she has a sort of matronly, the way she carries herself. And you see that she has with these, where the other women of the crew are wearing trousers, she's wearing long skirts and she has an apron. And now she has her apron sort of pulled up and she's holding something in it. As she comes walking down over this dune and she looks towards the crew, but then she walks over towards all of you first. And she says, or let me back up, because it's Billy and Oak, you're the ones that noticed this. The other thing that you noticed with that 19 is the cat that had been with Jessica, Dwight, is just expertly weaving itself around her ankles. Like it's just gravitated towards her. As she walks over and she says, well, I couldn't help but overhear that you children were hungry. Turns out, just over these dunes here, there's an abundance of these. And she opens her apron, and you see in her apron easily a couple pounds of bright red cherries.
Oh,
And that's where we're going to take our break.
Cherry festival, bitches.
Oh,
Yes.
Coops, get ready to eat.
We're going to go ahead and take our break there. Thank you to Emporium for the Wayward Gamer for that raid. I know our friend Jay Neofet was running a May the 4th Star Wars game with the star-studded cast over there. So make sure you head on over and check out that VOD later. In the meantime, we are going to break for... Let's keep it a little bit shorter, around 5 minutes if we can, since we are on a shortened schedule tonight because of our technical difficulties. So let's go to break, and we'll see you back in a few minutes. Welcome back to Paradise, Michigan. This matronly crew member of the Evangeline, Christina, is handing out handfuls of cherries to each of you. As any of you start to dive in, she says, mind the stones.
I said, pit spitting contest. Everybody, here we go. Who's in? And Rosie's already like trying to get like a pit into her mouth, and she draws a line in the sand with her bat and stands behind it and just goes, boom, and it goes a good ways.
Well, let's see.
Oh, let's indeed. What kind of...
Who wants to participate in a pit spitting contest? I think this is going to be...
Can it be grit?
I'm kind of curious.
Grit seems appropriate. It's a little bit of a redneck activity.
How hard it is to break you emotionally, be able to keep a level head in the worst of situations. Combat, brawn, determines how much brute strength. I'll tell you what. I am going to let each of you choose what skill you're going to use and describe how you use that skill to aid you in your pit spitting. So whoever's going to pit spit, I believe it was everybody but Jessica.
No skill, no roll required.
And no Laz.
Coop goes to spit, and he goes, huh! And the pit just kind of rolls down his chin, like,
Damn it.
It's less of a phew and more of a bleh.
bleh.
Careful.
Yep.
Careful about
He
your
tried.
pit. Careful about your pit spitting noises. Let's switch this over to something less suspenseful and more actiony. So Rosie, you were the one to start this off.
Yeah. I'm going to use my grit roll, and I'm just going to take the half.
So
And
that would be what?
That'd be 10.
Okay.
Yeah. And it gets out there quite a ways. Rosie's definitely done this before.
Oak.
Okay. So Oak is watching everybody else do this. He's not skilled at it, but like this seems like something that he's at least seen done at like county fairs and stuff. Like this is a possible thing. and just like watching how everybody tries to do it. He'll get up to the line. He'll get a pit in his mouth, and then he'll like angle his head. He'll like bob his head up and down a little bit, like trying to figure out like what angle his head should be at for optimal like distance. And then
If this were a video game, there's somebody like controlling him.
the pitch axis just and then he'll check if there's any wind and then immediately spit. And I think if the wind is behind me especially, he'll spit when the wind gust happens.
Wow.
And what skill are you using for this roll?
I'm gonna use brains for this roll because I'm taking my time and using
I
it
especially love that you narrated all of that before you rolled.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Brave soul.
Brave soul. If I get a 1, this sucks.
Faith.
Horrible timing.
Faith.
Oh. It's a
Exploded.
19.
It's a 19.
Good for him.
19 on the dot.
Okay.
Holy crap. That's fun. I just can't help it. So you see Oak, maybe not like as practiced and as skilled as maybe Rosie has, but for some reason he just waits for the optimal moment to like and it just sends further
Like twice
than
the
he
speed,
expected.
like twice the distance.
Twice the distance than he expected. He's like, I'm never
And
gonna do that again.
And when it
Nice
hits the
job,
sand,
kid.
it kind of goes like a little miniature burst.
Pip, pip, pip. It like just does the like little rock skip.
Let's see what.
Way to be, nerd.
Let's see how
And
Billy
I smack
does.
him on the back a little too hard.
Hey, thanks.
Alright, so-
I guess.
I'm not gonna power game this one. I'm just gonna use my determination. So I will be rolling grit as Rosie did. I'm actually gonna roll the die because I don't want to take half of it. That's a 7.
Okay,
So
it's a
somewhat but-
respectable effort. Falls short of even Rosie's. I need to roll some dice real quick.
Respectable.
Oh my gosh. Okay. As you all are, those of you that are participating are doing this, and you're kind of laughing amongst yourselves, and Jessica and Laz are just watching, and all of a sudden you hear from next to where you're all standing, you hear ting, and Heinz's pipe shoots out of his mouth as he goes, ah! And you see Shakiti 20 feet away going, with a handful of. I rolled a d20 and it exploded.
nice.
It's like he could murder somebody.
Yeah, he, from 20 feet away, shot Heinz's pipe and knocked it out of his
Cherry
mouth.
Seed sniper.
Sisk the Another great band name.
He just laughs at that.
He
As-
almost shot your eye out.
As he is laughing, your attention is drawn over to that area where you see that as they're sort of gathering everything around, and in my mind, where the ship's crew is currently, there's a temporary shelter that's been sort of fastened from remnants of one of the sails, the canvas, and some timbers, and they're kind of moving in. They've created a bit of shade, and they're moving all of this gear and stuff, equipment. What is the word I'm looking for when stuff goes
Cargo.
overboard? Cargo. Thank you.
Nice.
All of the cargo that they're pulling up. You see that Christina has taken a large steamer trunk that was pulled up by Sauvage from the water, and she sets it up on end, and as she does so, you see from the bottom of it, before it's even opened, you see water just going and she goes, "Oh no, this is not going to be good." And she kind of brushes at it and wipes some of the mud off, and that's where you all notice that the steamer trunk is painted green and has brass fixtures around it.
Ooh.
As she opens the steamer trunk, and inside it is filled with soaking wet books. Oh no, my books! And she's just carefully pulling these books out, and each one she pulls out, and you just see the books are just bloated with being waterlogged, and I would like Coop to make a brains check.
Okay.
While
That's
Coop is
you,
rolling
Coop.
dice, how far away is this person?
20 feet.
20 feet. And can I step over and just kind of have a look and see if I can read any of the titles on spines or covers or anything?
Yeah, you can absolutely walk over there. I mean, you're all just on the beach, and
That was a 6.
a 6. What's your
8.
8 is your
D8.
roll. Hold on, because I have to consult my here. 3 is 5 is 1. So that was you succeeded by 1. So it's a very limited success. It was a very low DC because your attention is drawn to this area, and you already see Billy is walking. I guess I can turn the pit spitting. All of a sudden, I'm like, it's not that intense. All this guitar music's like, yeah. Although it does rock.
These are some wet books, baby!
Because as Billy is walking over to take a look at the books that Christina's pulling out, Coop, you catch a glimpse of Sauvage and Guy as they are setting several of these crates that seem to be heavy off to one side, and there seems to be a little bit of a miscommunication, and one of the crates, they sort of bump into each other, and Sauvage knocks the crate out of Guy's hand that he's holding. And it's marked pears on the side. And there's sort of a heavy thud as it hits. And where this sort of makeshift lean-to shelter is, you see just a little glimpse as something rolls underneath into the sand. And then you see a hand reach out and grab it. You see a silver ingot.
Like rich stuff silver ingot?
Like rich stuff silver ingot. Like you recognize this as refined silver.
Who's near me?
I would say since Billy walked away, it's going to be primarily Oak and Rosie because you all were spitting pits.
Oak! You're never gonna believe. Oh my God, your eyes, your nose is all swollen. I'm so sorry.
Well, no, it's fine. Look, it's gonna heal. I want to get back.
I'm not gonna lie, you look pretty bad, man.
Thanks for that. Look, it'll get better.
You might wanna pull Rosie's nosebleed stopper out. Good thing she had that. It's very handy. So.
Okay.
So, anyways, you're never gonna believe what I just saw.
What'd you see?
Okay. So those crates that they're pulling out of the wreckage.
Okay.
One of them
kinda, like,
opened up
draws
and
his
spilled
eyes.
out a little bit, and It has coins.
It's not coins, it's an ingot.
Ingot. Right.
Like like a
it's
metal
got
bar.
like a bar, like a gold bar, but it was like silver.
They got treasure.
Rich stuff.
Oh,
Rich stuff.
Oh man. Okay. Should we? Well, we gotta tell the others. We gotta.
We have to tell Heinz, right?
I mean,
Did I get the name right? Yeah.
yeah, like the bottle,
Like the
ketchup.
ketchup. Yeah.
But we can't
So-
tell him that.
As Oak and Coop are putting their little preteen heads together to figure this out,
Our little baby brains are working together.
Billy,
Yes, sir.
you walk up to where Christina is carefully pulling out waterlogged books, and she's already taken where some of the rigging that was pulled out and stretched between some timbers. She's taking these books and carefully opening them and hanging them on this line. Some of them are so wet they are just literally dripping water.
So do I see any writing on the spines or covers or anything? Look.
Go ahead and give me a brains check. I believe you have. Don't you have a strength that gives you a bonus if you're specifically trying to remember? I seem to recall.
Intuitive.
Yeah. What was your intuitive strength again?
I don't know.
I will tell you. You may spend one adversity token to ask the GM about your surroundings, an NPC, or the like, and the GM must answer honestly.
Ooh, I don't like
So
that.
it's not what I was expecting.
Must answer
I thought it
honestly.
gave you a +1, but that's how we ruled it the first time.
That's
So
powerful,
you
Ted.
can. That is something you can do. Since I told you about it. If anybody else in between sessions, if you have strengths you're not sure what they do, use the reference document that I gave you because it tells you what all the strengths do. So you can use that, or you can make a roll.
All right, well, I don't have any adversity tokens of my own.
You have
I'm not gonna
18
use-
adversity tokens.
All right, fine. I'll use one of them and see if I can get some information on this particular scene.
And I wasn't trying to bully you into using a token. I just wanted
You should
to make
definitely
you-
use a token. I'm trying to bully you.
Well, for those that haven't played with Carrie likes to use domain dice and
That
likes to
is
tell others to
completely
use domain
untrue.
dice.
It is a narrative.
Carrie
that is
has
put
used
forward
more
by
domain
Carrie.
dice than any other person in any game.
Totally false.
It is false. I'm making it up. So what would you ask?
So fine. Why are these books so important to Christy?
Okay. You watch as Christina pulls book after book out and is very carefully laying them out anywhere she can to keep where they won't get sand on them. And you definitely see that there is a care to these, like they are the most precious thing that she has. And she just, as she's doing this, she sees you there. And she just starts talking to you. She says, "This storm and this shipwreck is... this is the worst thing that could have happened. And I thought that this chest would be tight enough to avoid the water. But not when submerged like that. These are my livelihood. Well, maybe they still can be. I was hoping we were heading down to Chicago. We've come from far up north through the straits and up all the way up by Canada. we were heading down to Chicago, bringing, and she kind of glances over at the others, fruits and vegetables and other commodities. And we were heading to Chicago, and I was going to meet my sisters there, and we were going to open a bookstore. Now I don't know when, if we'll even get to Chicago, let alone...
That was really funny, dude.
I just quickly scanned back up that Canada conversation. Oh, get you a side chat that
Funny.
that talks amongst themselves like this side chat does. But Billy, she's looking at them and she says, I don't know if I'll see my sisters, let alone if I'll be able to make it to Chicago.
Is there anything about this woman that triggers anything within me?
Oh, yeah.
You just said,
You know what?
said
Plenty.
What exactly
things
are
in
you
that.
asking?
Oh my word!
Is there
You
something
just
about
said-
this woman that awakens something in young Billy?
Hello.
You just said that this woman wants to find her two sisters and open up a bookstore, and we know in Paradise there's a bookstore owned by three women.
Well,
and Billy doesn't have any-
correction. Everybody but Billy knows this.
Right.
Look, Chad and I
But-
were trying to make faces.
But
So-
Billy
Thing.
doesn't have any recollection.
But
So,
maybe
Billy-
Billy is like, it's in there somewhere.
Billy.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it-
yeah.
Do you know what this
It's
means?
that third eye.
time for
group
percentile
revelation.
rolls?
It's time for a D100 roll.
Attaboy! Get it, Ted!
So I have rolled my die.
Well, we're on Route 66.
Interesting. A 66.
That is indeed what I rolled, sir.
As this woman is telling you this story, it's a story, it sounds like a story of somebody who's emigrating from Canada down into the States, hoping to make a new life down in Chicago. It's unfortunate what you see has happened to her books. Nothing's really... There's nothing out of the ordinary other than the fact that this is happening to you in 100 years in the past on a beach through a magical lighthouse. I mean, aside from that, nothing is out of the ordinary. That is until the orange boy cat that is still hanging out around Christina's legs rubs up against your leg and begins to purr. And as it does so, there's a sudden... and you feel yourself like pulled forward, and you see the inside of a bookstore in what appears to be 1980 something. You are perched high up on a bookshelf. Another cat is perched nearby you. You see all around you in the bookshop that there are cats everywhere amongst the books. And there are three women sitting in high-backed chairs, but the backs of the chairs and the women are obscured from your vision. But through the front window of the bookstore where you see the... Sorry. Perspective got me. Well done, Chad. Well done. I am proud and jealous that I didn't think of that.
I would have gone there, but I'm trying to pay attention to the
So
story.
You're focused.
Yes.
you see the front window with pages spelled out backwards on the window. And looking through the window, you see that you see a couple cars parked out front, and you look around, and in your mind you think, the gray one, whose name keeps changing, where are they? And you feel like a presence in the back of your mind, and your eyes sort of flutter, and suddenly you see from the perspective with, imagine like very 1980s visual effect, that everything is very blurry around the edges. It's sort of
fuzzy,
an iris in the middle, but everything else around it is just sort of fuzzy. And you see from the perspective of inside the basket of a bicycle, as your perspective shifts and looks back, and you see Jessica pedaling on this bike and the other kids all around, and then the perspective shifts back into the shop, and you see all these kids on bikes pull out in front of the shop, and suddenly you see the gray cat leap out of the basket and come running and through the front door, the cat door on the shop, and you see Jessica immediately dump her bike and come running after. And then you see as some of the other kids come, and then you see Billy, you see yourself as you enter into the shop, and you hear in your mind, oh, it's my turn. No, it's my turn. No, it's mine, mine. And you see your opportunity, and your perspective leaps forward until suddenly, as Billy passes through the door, you see through Billy's eyes, through your own eyes, but not your eyes. And you see everything through your eyes that transpired, that happened in the bookshop. You see yourself suddenly frightened and jumping to the back as your cat persona pilots the Billy body.
Billy body.
The Billy body.
Billy body.
And you take off into the impossibly long back room, and then Jessica is in hot pursuit as you end up in just everything that happened up until the moment you passed through the door with Jessica and emerged in the lighthouse.
And this all happens essentially like in a flash.
It's just like it's like in the TV show Chuck. Just all of a sudden, you just have this. Anybody that might see of you is your eyes sort of flicker for a second, and she's still telling this story about everything that happened, or that she was hoping to do.
So I shake my head for a moment and try to take all of that in. I don't know, ma'am. I think just stop for a moment. I think your plans are still going to have a chance to work out.
I appreciate your optimism.
Is there any chance my friends and I could have a? I mean, the cherries were nice and all, but I like apples more.
Sorry, you cut out there for a moment. Could have a what?
I said I like apples more.
Oh, an apple. And she turns and she says, "Oh, yes, of course. Let me see what I can get for you." And she starts heading over for the crates. And as she walks a few feet away from you, you see Sauvage suddenly steps in front of her. "What are you doing?" "I just want to get an apple for the kids. They need a little bit more. We have to watch our supplies. We have limited supplies. We don't know how long we are going to have to survive here. There's plenty of cherries, and while I was out there, I heard plenty of wildlife. We'll be able to hunt. I will get them 3 apples. That is all." And he turns and goes into the corner, and he kind of opens a couple things up and looks and ends up coming back with presumably 3 apples, and he hands them to her, and she just kind of goes, I suppose this will have to do. And she turns and she hands you 3 apples that are very bruised and about the size of handballs.
I'll say thanks and I'll walk back to the group and I'll offer out the apples and I'll take out my knife. I'll cut the one in one half. So, yeah, I take a half and offer it to whoever.
They're pretty. They're almost as much brown from bruising as they are white on the inside. But they're apples and they have apple seeds in them.
I would shrug and nod at Coop. Rosie's hungry, but at the same
Billy,
time,
you mean?
like, or no, I do mean Coop. I want Coop to have my half.
Ah.
So is
Are you
Heinz standing
sure?
right next to the kids?
He's a few feet away.
So,
He's close enough if you want his attention. He's far enough if
Yeah.
you don't want his attention.
Yeah, I don't want his attention. So I'll say to the group, how much do you remember the ladies in the bookstore?
Like if I saw them, could I point them out?
They were
I
really
mean-
old, but not like really old, but like old.
Did anyone like study their faces at all, or more importantly, their eyes?
No. Is that
'Cause I'm-
something that you do?
Don't look at people's eyes.
I mean, I didn't like stare into her soul or nothing.
I
But
mean, we're not cops.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm pretty sure that that woman with the trunk is one of the ladies from the bookstore.
Okay, but you remember when I said they were old, but not like really old? They'd be like really old if that was true.
Look, I'm just saying what I feel, and talking to her. I told you before, I don't have any recollection of. I didn't have any recollection of what happened in the bookstore. But talking, I now saw it all. I saw through the cat's eyes that was sitting in Jessica's bike as we were driving, or as we were riding to the bookstore. I saw us from inside enter into the bookstore. I saw the corridor that you described, Jessica. Was there a
But, like-
million doors?
You saw what seemed to be an endless corridor of doors.
So I would describe it along those lines. That,
Yeah,
it was
I
an
mean,
endless corridor. regardless
Jessica
of which direction.
Jessica was definitely using hyperbole, but it was justified.
Yeah, like we're all agreed that those 3 ladies were witches, right? I mean, like,
Oh, now I am. I wasn't gonna say it, but now that makes sense now.
I told you they locked the door behind us, and I don't know what they were planning on doing, but
It's,
I don't really want to go back, you know.
Well, kind of. I wanted to go back because I had gifts for you.
Did they
What?
did they greet us? And this is kind of more of a question for you, Jake. Greet us like they had seen us before?
They did say you must be Jessica to Jessica.
Yeah. I
They
was gonna say, use Jessica's
they
name.
did use Jessica's name, and they seemed very friendly and not at all surprised to see any of you.
Okay. All right. I'll have to rewatch that one and see if there's anything I can pick up from this moment.
I think at that moment though, Oak looks to Coop. Should we tell him? Should we tell him the others
Yeah, let's tell them. Wait, what are you talking about?
about the riches?
Yeah, let's tell them.
Yeah.
You guys, some of those crates have rich stuff in them. Like whole ass gold bars, like from Bugs Bunny.
They're not.
What's
yeah,
silver?
They're not. what they say they are. It's
They might be
Some-
pirates.
somebody here is lying.
You mean those chests that they're like full of like treasure and like
Yeah,
pearls
You,
and shit?
you see the one that says pears? It's not pears.
Well, like, even if it is, like, that take stuff from the adults, like, garden them. How would you get
Laz
it?
is- Laz is already turned away from the group, kind of looking that direction, and is like kind of rubbing the side of his head in thought. It's very, very clear to anybody who looks that he's already contemplating this.
Yes, the Biff Tannen begins.
Well, like, I mean, how much? Coop, you have to. This is very important. If we were to take any, would they notice it was missing?
I have no idea.
But
How?
they're,
Why would I know that?
they're
Oh.
guarding them. How would we even attempt it?
We probably shouldn't.
Jake, I feel like this might be a good time to bring up. I don't know if it'll be helpful in any way, but Coop has the treasure hunter strength.
Jesus!
What? I don't know if it's relevant to
Has to be
shipwreck and silver bars, but Coop is a treasure hunter.
real
Okay.
quick.
Oh my
Yes.
God.
Oh, hang on.
Hold on, let me-
Carry the one ring to Mordor. Oh, I happen to be very skilled at carrying one ring.
Fucking, that has to be applicable.
I would
somehow.
say so. The treasure hunter reads, you may spend one adversity token to find a useful item in your surroundings. So what that means, the way I will interpret that, is you can spend one adversity token to find something that will aid you in your attempt to acquire
I'll
silver
take
bar.
it. Because Coop, being Coop, has 6 adversity tokens of his own. So,
I do recall Coop failing a lot.
well, Coop's other strength is easygoing, so I get 2 tokens on a fail instead of 1.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I'm going to spend, Jake, one of my tokens, and we'll go from there.
So we're gonna figure this out together because I want to know, what are you looking for? What do you think Coop would be attempting to do that would aid you in acquiring these riches, this rich
Jake,
stuff?
I don't know what the item would be specifically, but I know that what Coop wants right now is a big, juicy, fat distraction that will lead everybody away from the crates temporarily.
You know, sometimes when you make a wish and the words come out of your mouth and you realize, oh, maybe I should have been a little more specific or careful with my wish. This might be one of those moments.
Ruh-roh.
As you are thinking about how you would like a big, juicy distraction to lead everyone away. From the other
I
side...
swear to God, if you bring the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in right
God,
now,
no,
I'm
fuck
going
that.
to lose my
Fuck
shit.
that. No.
Ray, what did you do, Ray?
Stop.
It just popped in there.
So you hear from the other side of the lighthouse,
No.
in the direction... Now keep in mind, this lake that is behind you, it extends like the smallest portion of the lake, the southernmost part of it, is behind you just a little bit, goes behind the lighthouse, gets bigger as it heads northward. You know this because of your map. This inland lake. And as you are thinking this, you hear... much of that came through.
All of it.
Okay.
All of it.
Because I know when I tried to make sounds before, they got
I was
noise
shocked.
clipped. No, I turned on original sound. So that is the sound you hear, and everybody turns in that direction.
Is it a beastly sound or a John Deere?
It would very much. Again,
So-
1880 something.
John Deere man.
John Deere's been around since the 70s, bruh.
It's Peterbilt. It was a big rig, Jake braking on the highway.
Fuck, we're in Colonial Williamsburg. This has all been a ruse.
No, it is what would be described as
Shyamalan.
an inhuman sound.
Ooh.
You know what would be really great is if there was like a distraction or
And now you all feel that you don't see anything, but you feel as if something massive has hit the beach as you feel the vibration through your feet. Now, you all are basically sort of back a little ways where the lighthouse is. The crew are 20 feet ahead, and you see them going, What is that? What? Oh, dear God. And cursing in French and Spanish and...
Merde.
Merde,
Chocolat bleu!
Chocolat bleu! I think you would just hear, what? Holy shit.
Holy shit. Question. I do have a trait that I would like to use creatively.
Listen, you guys are all over your strengths tonight.
I have a strength called Cool Under Pressure. Could I somehow avoid this shock and fucking steal a silver bar?
So,
That you sound like me and
I
like,
also have a
teaching
trait
my
called
kids algebra
unassuming.
in May.
I would gladly like to use that as well.
So in this situation, you all were conspiring for something that would provide a distraction. Everybody is completely taken aback by this. I will allow you to spend one adversity token and make a mad dash. You have, this is a snap decision.
Yes.
So you can make a mad dash to run over and attempt to swipe one of these silver bars.
I just so happen to have an adversity token, so I will use it.
So this is going to be a matter of how quickly can you get over there, get the bar, and get back without being noticed.
it's
Which is
just like
fine.
running bases.
Well, I'm sure, yes,
It's more like stealing
Yeah,
bases.
Stealing, you gotta
Yes.
steal. You gotta steal base.
which of course would be a grit roll, right? Or possibly drawn.
Well, that's where
For some
I
reason.
lost. There we go. So I think that this is going to be.
Don't say it.
It's not going to be flight.
Oh, phew, good. That's good news for all of us.
No, this is less about your speed, and more about. You know what? I'm going to allow grit in this situation because you're using the combination of your strength, cool under pressure, and grit specifically. One of the things is being able to keep cool even when pushed hard. So you have the option to take half
Right.
of your die roll if you want,
Yes.
or you can roll this. What I'm going to allow in addition, because of this cool under pressure, normally this would be a snap decision where nobody can help you. Only you can help yourself with your roll if you choose to roll. Others can help you by giving
Okay.
you adversity tokens of their own if you decide to roll and not take half.
What would adversity tokens do for me? A +1?
Each
in this
one is
situation?
worth +1.
Okay. So guys, I think I'm gonna roll. I think I'm gonna do it. I don't.
Please
think 10 is
to
enough.
take one
This
of
has gotta
Coop's
be-
tokens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here I go.
Laz will
Here I go,
throw one
here I
in
go.
as well.
Okay, so that's a plus
well.
2.
1. I guess I will use one more of mine for a fucking 10. What do you know? God.
So
damn
you
it.
rolled a 10.
Yeah, sure did. Thanks, team, for that very underwhelming roll that I could have just had automatically. I'm so sorry.
So what I'm gonna do. Okay. So it's going to be highly unlikely. I'll be honest with you and sort of tell you a little bit of what I'm doing here. I'm just trying to find my D8s. So Sauvage and Guy and Shakiti are close enough that they have a chance to spot you. However, you rolled a 10. They each have a D8 in their
It's so
ability
unlikely, guys.
in their ability. So the only way somebody has a
12.5%
chance is if they
chance.
explode.
12.5% chance. Let's
Look
go.
at that. It's almost like you're a math teacher or something.
I know what
So-
I'm talking about.
Guy with a 5 does not notice. Sauvage. Oh, jeez.
Well,
Let's try
Vaj
that again.
definitely doesn't notice.
Also a 5. Sauvage and Guy are very much, they're doing that thing when you don't believe that you're seeing something and they're grabbing each other like, what is that? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Shakiti, what are the odds? Seriously, Carrie, what are the odds? 3 D8s, all 3 of them rolled a 5.
Well, 1 over 8 to the third power. That is off the top.
That's just like runic form. I don't know what that means. 1 over 8 to the third power. That's not a
It's like way less than
probability.
1%.
Well, it just happened. All 3 of them rolled a 5. So as this is happening, and Shakiti is actually close as you run up and you get to where there's part of the sail is torn, and you can see that box that Coop pointed out. It says pears, and you see the lid is not quite settled on the top, and you see a little glint of silver, and suddenly there's Sauvage, or not Sauvage, Shakiti, all 7 feet of him standing there, and you're down low. All he has to do is turn his head a little bit, and suddenly there's, and he rushes forward towards Christina and Ingrid. Get back! Get back! Because all 3 of them, and the highly improbable nature of this, you are able to grab a silver bar.
Oh.
But because of the improbability of it, you can attempt, if you wish, to take a second bar. If you attempt the second bar, I will make you roll.
I can't possibly do worse than I did last time.
Well, before you say
Yes.
that, I'm going to let all 3 of their 5s stand.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. We
I
only
love
live
it.
once.
I love it. What's
Let's
the
go.
die? What's the die you're rolling?
For can I just choose? I'm gonna go grit
No,
again.
it's grit. I meant what is your
Yeah.
grit die?
Oh, it's a fucking D20.
Oh, okay. You can fail, but the odds
I
are
sure could, but I probably won't. Let's go, bitches. Ooh. Well,
you do have adversity tokens.
I sure do, but I'm all out.
You
I
have
got
we got a whole
17 adversity tokens.
Yeah.
Somebody needs
Don't let the
I'll
fact
take
that I
one.
don't let the fact that I bullied you earlier.
I'll give you some. I've got.
What did you roll?
I'll use one of our domain pops. I got a 10. I'll use one to make it an 11.
Hold on. Why would you do that then? I told you I'm
DC
letting
is 5.
all
I
of their
had to do better.
No, I said I'm letting all of their 5s stand. All you had to
Oh,
do
so I
was
just
beat
gotta
their
beat their
5.
All you
Oh
gotta
my
do is
god.
beat the mouse.
Yeah. I'm not gonna make you spend a token. Then you don't need
We
it.
won't be using.
You grab the
jack
first
shit.
token, and you realize, or the token. You grab the first bar. Now it's not light. So, somebody look it up. I don't know how much a bar of silver weighs. I just don't know.
You have 2 hands.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what goes through your head. You're like, this was easy. And you decide to grab a second one. And nobody notices. As you grab 2 of them, what do you do?
I imagine Rosie just puts one of them in her back pocket. And then has 7 pounds. Never mind. I have 2 in my hands. And I put one down the back of my pants because I feel like that's more reliable than my pocket. And then let's see. Can I take one more? Can I try?
Going for the 3.
Oh, you're gonna go for a third one?
may I?
Jeremy's greedy
God.
rubbed off on Carrie.
May I
Oh.
try?
Rosie's like, well, while I'm here, might as well.
Right up here and everybody's distracted. I mean, listen, I've stolen second and they overthrew the frickin' play, man. I gotta try.
Okay.
May I?
Are you
Okay, this is it. I promise. 3rd time's a charm. I'm gonna roll. Let's go. That is a fucking 19.
Okay. Shakiti explodes on a D8
Well, still. It's got to do it
and then
twice.
gets a 1, so that's 9. Gee explodes. I wish I had a camera set up here. All 5s now, all 8s. Explodes again. We're at 16. That's a 6. That's a 22. That's Guy.
You are fucking kidding me.
Sauvage
You are fucking kidding
Gets
me.
a 3. You grab the first bar and you shove it down in the back of your pants. You grab the second bar. What'd you do with the second bar?
I probably just have it in my left hand.
And that's when you think, you kind of look back at everybody else. You look back at Coop. And you realize, I gotta go again. And you reach your hand in. And you grab the bar and you pull it out. And as you pull it out, you look up. And Guy is looking right at you. And he says nothing. But he mouths the words, "Go."
Oh my fucking! I do immediately. I freaking dash. I run hard. I look at it
And-
for maybe half a second and freaking sprint.
As you turn, you see you turn, silver bars in each hand, a silver bar down your pants. This is why I love role-playing games, because I get to say weird sentences like
Silver
that.
bar down your pants. How often do you say that?
A silver bar in each hand, a silver bar down your
And one
pants.
down
You
your
turn,
pants.
and you see everybody is looking towards the lighthouse and beyond. And you notice their eye line is not like ground level. Their eye line is looking up. Now, the rest of you kids you're still not quite sure. You just know it's on the other side. And you suddenly see that the lighthouse is eclipsed by a massive shadow from the other side, as something bigger than the lighthouse rises above it. You see this sort of elongated, dark, greenish shape, and it splits, and as it does so, you see mud and seaweed sort of clinging as it opens in what is clearly a mouth, and you hear and something that looks like a giant mud-covered alligator on 2 legs steps out from behind the lighthouse and whips its head in all of your direction. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Fuck Michigan indeed, Jeremy.
Oh, and Billy, you were worried about the Michigan dog man.
Yeah.
What?
Oh my gosh, I love
Lake monster.
I love when the dice help tell the story like that. Plus the greedy player. Let's give credit where credit's due. I wish
with power.
I so wish I had a camera going, because 3 5s back to back to back for their first checks. And when you went for the third one, I'm like, all right, they're gonna try at least once more. 2 of them explode, and Guy exploded twice and then got a 6. I'm just like,
astronomical.
Well, all I will say is, you're lucky it was Guy that noticed you and not Sauvage.
Okay, good. That'd be awesome.
No, that was... I'm helping tell the story here, and even I was a little bit on the edge of my seat with that one. I'm like, what's happening? I did
That's
not...
what RPGs
I got to
are about.
I
admit...
blame Jeremy.
I got to
I don't
admit...
know why.
I did
I
not...
don't know why, but I do.
I did not expect... that you were going to try to steal silver bars. Just that you would... I thought, okay, they're just going to take note. These guys are clearly not who they say they are. They're up to something. It's rich stuff. Let's steal rich stuff from the people who are clearly skilled at having rich stuff.
Well,
They'll never suspect the children.
Thank you, Tamiko.
There's a reason why we're unassuming. We're unassuming and cute. There's a reason why they trust
Also,
us.
The consequence part of our bond isn't there yet.
also, I did not know what that
That'll be
monster...
ridiculous.
I did not know what that monster was going to sound like until I made that noise. And now 6 times
throw that
later,
in.
I'm regretting that I made that noise.
No, it's perfect.
Listen, you just created a lake monster that sounds like Chewbacca, looks like Godzilla. I'm down for it.
Same.
Don't even
All in.
full go, full send. I'm here.
Hold
for
on.
that. I want to fight it. I want to fight it.
We don't fight things in this game.
I don't care. I want to find a way to make mechanics.
I had a couple of names for the monster in my head just now, but I had to say them in my head to make sure they weren't anything bad.
You had hinted at
they
it.
were-
Monster.
Godbaka and Chuzilla.
Oh no.
I just wanted to sound them out in my head before I said them out loud. I didn't say they were good, but at least they weren't bad.
You hinted several times at there being a monster in the lake.
It's
There was
literally on the
several
map that you found.
On the
It
map.
says Lake
Monster,
Monster.
question mark?
No, doesn't it say Lake Monster with
Yes.
lots of exclamation points?
Oh,
Yeah, not question mark, exclamation.
no. Like
Like
for
9
sure,
of
like
them.
monster.
Like 9 of them. Yes.
Okay, but I just want to be clear that it existed and it didn't come out of Coop's head. Like, I'm not responsible for this,
no.
right?
Hey,
No,
we're
I
gonna be rich.
think
No,
our group,
it-
you're probably going to be responsible for that.
All right. Well, I hope you all had as much fun with that session as I did. Yeah, we'll be back next week, next Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for session 17. Man, what was that name that I wished we'd have called it? Was the
Juicy fruit
the Juicy Fruit
conspiracy.
Conspiracy? What was the other name you said that was like a...
Oh, there were a bunch.
There was another good name in there that was some kind of a... You said was your band name.
Oh, man.
Oh, do we just have to scroll up a little bit?
Yeah, there was some good stuff in there. I wish I'd have used.
I had thrown out there riches and witches.
Justifiable hyperbole.
Justifiable hyperbole, riches and witches. We're creating all kinds of future titles here. Be sure to tune in on Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern for our next session of Scribes and Scrolls. The episode is entitled... What did I call that episode? Did I tell you guys what I called it?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, I'll have to
Just said-
remember. I don't
I think it was called Canceled.
Yeah, it was called Canceled because I had massive allergies. Let's just say you're dealing with hillbilly ogres and a split party. Now, not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, because this past Tuesday we debuted a brand new Pathfinder 2e stream, Sky Metal Iron Gods. I get to play in that with M and a couple other awesome people. And our game master is Vi, who absolutely knocking it out of the park already. So if you want to see that, you can tune in every other Tuesday night. Next Wednesday will be our next session of Lawlerville, our Call of Cthulhu. It will be pre-recorded for scheduling reasons, but we will be debuting it on Wednesday at our usual time, 8:30. And then, as I said, we'll be back on Thursday with Kids on Bikes. So with that, I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who is hanging out in the chat with us. If you came in from the Geekly Inc. raid, thank you Geekly Inc. for raiding us with 17 viewers, and Emporium of the Wayward Gamer brought in 24 viewers. Thank you to everybody who
have a high count.
Who cheered with bits or subs or any of that kind of stuff. And if you are somebody that likes to lurk silently in the chat and just listen to our games, we appreciate you all the same. And of course, I have to say a huge thank you to these amazing players. I just look forward to every Thursday night getting to tell these weird and wonderful stories with all of you. You are all amazing role players, and I'm so thankful that we get to share this virtual table together. So thank you, Chad, Tamiko, Carrie, Ted, Jeremy, and Em, without whom this would just be me talking to myself for a couple hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end the stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
Da, 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 da.